Beyond the Waves is a Hail Hail Media production. It may not be appropriate for underage Tims. There's going to be sweary words. There's going to be adult situations being discussed. If you're in the company of underage Tims, turn off the show now and listen back later. If you're in the company of Hans, wave bye-bye. Hail, hail, and keep the faith.
Domination. Captain! Captain! Land ahoy!
Listen, do you want to chat about Celtic after the game and avoid the usual Scottish hacks? Then tune into the Beyond the Waves Celtic show on the Hail Hail Media channel. I'm telling you, Graham, the Rev, the coach, they're there after every game to take your calls and talk you down from the ledge if need be. The guys are live after every single match and you can catch them on www.spreaker.com and then just search for Hail Hail Media. So if you'd like some Celtic discussion that'll make you feel a bit Yankee Doodle Dandy, tune into Beyond the Waves radio show. Yankee Doodle.
The others fear when they hear us cheer as we sing the Celtic song.
Welcome to the Beyond the Waves Celtic Football Show. My name is Graham Wilson. And today, we are going to talk about the 1-0 victory over Aberdeen. Not exactly a thing of beauty, but 3 points nonetheless. We got the result. Hopefully, we can take some bit of confidence, some bit of momentum into this midweek Champions League qualifying tie against Helsinki. Had a 2-1 against them this past Wednesday. Not the ideal outcome, but nonetheless, we do have an advantage going into the second and determining tie. Now, we're going to Helsinki, a plastic pitch. They're going to try and stifle us. I mean, let's be honest. We've seen the statistics coming from them. They don't score many goals, and they don't score many goals early. But they are formidable at home. So we do need to be careful there, but we'll break all that down in good time. So before we do anything, let's first off meet our panel. We have a jam-packed panel. We have a jam-packed show. There's so much to talk to, so much to talk about. So without further ado, let's get to the gang is back together. We do have audio fanfare for that. From Perth Amboy, New Jersey, as always, it's the Rev. He's got no hair. Rev. He's got no hair. Rev. He's got no hair. Rev. A good guy, skinhead. Yeah. Rev. Hi, Rev.
Hello.
Now, in the spirit of, you're a good guy, skinhead. You have no hair. But, we can use this to our advantage, I think. First off, thank you for joining us, as always. But, we're coming into the Real Madrid friendly next weekend. Cannot wait. We need to come up with a ritual and make good use of that beautiful bald head of yours. I think before the game, we are going to be at Fido. If you're going to be attending the game, if you're going to be participating in the activities, stop by Fido and give Rev's head a pat for good luck. What do you think, Rev?
I'm okay with that.
Pat the head for good luck. Stop by Fido, give him a pat. Just for good luck. We're gonna go in and we're gonna stomp Franco's 11. So
A pat, a rub, one little, hey buddy there, one of those. It's all good. It's all for good luck.
hey buddy, there, one of those, absolutely. Rev, 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 rev. Oof. Rev, rev. Yeah. All right, enough of that. So, thank you, Rev, for joining us. And also joining us back from the depths. We haven't been joined by one of our favorites in quite some time, but we're certainly happy to have him back as well from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. He's the coach. He's the coach. Coach, coach, coach. Coach, coach, coach. Coach. Yeah. He is the coach. He's got guns. Coach. He's got guns and likes ice cream. And jelly. He is the coach, yeah. He is the coach. Coach, 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 yeah, yeah. He's the coach, yeah. He is the coach. Come on. Here comes the coach. He is the coach. Yeah, yeah. He's the coach, yeah. He is the coach. Yeah, yeah. Here comes my solo. Coach, 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 coach. Oh, yeah. Coach, coach. Wow.
Why you haven't tried out for American Idol is beyond me.
From Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, it's the coach. Hail, hail, coach. Thanks for joining us.
Howdy, strangers.
Fantastic stuff.
Hey, I gotta say, I don't want nobody rubbing or tugging me in Fido.
Don't touch the coach, whatever you do.
Well, maybe
Coach
one
does not want to rub and tug.
No rub and tug.
Nope. We had to go there, Such simple and innocent intent on the beginning, and you guys have to go and twist it around. So
I just set him up and Rev hits him out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Joe got red carded for, his performance on Homeboys, a couple episodes ago, so I think we have to outdo him.
No. I know. No. There's no outdoing anybody from the Homeboys or anything like that, especially with my horrible singing. No. Absolutely not. We've seen where my stupid songs have gotten us so far. I don't want to see it going any further. Coach, how have you been? We haven't heard from you in quite some time.
All right.
Good. In a word.
That's about it.
In a word. All right. Well, fantastic. Yeah. We got the 1-0 result against Aberdeen today. Did both of you boys happen to witness the game today? And what are your thoughts? Rev, what did you think? I mean, it wasn't the most sparkling display of our potential. We did get the result, but there was just large stretches of that game. I mean, especially in the second half, it looked like we were watching Strackenside. What were your thoughts on the game? What stood out for you?
What stood out for me was more, less on the sporting side than the actual thing. It was reported, and I'm waiting for, good picture confirmation. But Karen Gillan, a.k.a. Amelia Pond, a.k.a. Amy, a.k.a. the doctor's companion, was there. And to find out that Doctor Who?
Who?
Let him explain.
All right.
You don't know Doctor Who?
No.
Wow.
That's that bad 70s thing that used to be on PBS, right?
No, it's the good 2000s thing that's on.
Oh, they remade it?
Oh, well, it's a continuation, but yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
But I knew she was a Tim, so that was pretty exciting to find out that she was there today.
She probably could have slotted in at central midfield in comparison to the display that we saw on the pitch today. Coach, what were your thoughts? I mean, we got to get away from this Doctor Who. I mean, it seemed quite anemic. A lot of the time we saw Charlie Mulgrew get suspended. The Dutch FA conveniently just decided to report Charlie Mulgrew's red card from a friendly.
I don't understand how a card in a friendly affects a league game.
I don't either, to be honest.
Retarded.
I mean, it's up to the referee. My interpretation was it was up to the referee to report it or not. Now, we went assuming that the referee had not reported it, therefore Charlie was clear to go. And then we find out just yesterday that the Danish FA had reported the red card, so therefore he would be not eligible to play in this game today. Now, he was open to play in the game against Helsinki. He's not available to play today. I can't make heads or tails of it, especially given the fact that it was just an innocuous red card. I mean, let's be honest. As you mentioned, in a friendly, but nonetheless, I think that dictated much of how we set out to play, how we could play. And this is what I've been crying out for over the past several weeks. We need depth in certain positions. What was required as a result of Charlie Mulgrew going out, we needed Wanyama to slot back in at center half once again. Now, I mentioned after the game against Helsinki on Wednesday, Victor Wanyama is excellent cover at center half, but he is not a center half. He's a midfielder. He has pace, but he does not have, in my mind, he doesn't have the type of pace that is good in recovery. He doesn't quite have those instincts just yet from a center half, and that can lead to certain liabilities. Plus, he is much more effective playing just in front of the center halves. And we saw that as Kelvin Wilson came in the second half. Victor was able to slot back into the midfield, far more active, far more dynamic going forward, busting up play, setting things up in transition. We saw much more of it. There's no irony there. Scott Brown goes out, due to injury, and that would have been fantastic to have Victor Wanyama there in the center of the park to cover for Scott Brown. But instead, since we had to have Wanyama covering at center half, we had to bring in Joe Ledley and an unfit Barham Kyle. Now, I got into debates with people all week long about is a one-season wonder and he's another lead nailer. I mean, please give me a break. Emilio Izaguirre had a potentially career-threatening leg break last season, and you can tell that he's still struggling to get his instinct, his fitness back. He has not been on top of his game thus far, but certainly to call him a one-season wonder and to compare him to Lee Naylor is absolutely, I mean, it's just completely daft. I think a certain element of that is taking place with Barham Kyle as well. Now, obviously, he had his injury questions throughout the season last year, but throughout preseason, he's been in and out. He's had a scan on his knee very recently. I don't think he's quite fully fit just yet, so we're not going to see the best of him. And that was evident in much of the transition, much of the play. If we would get the ball on the break, the central midfielders were slow to catch up. I mean, there was huge gaps in the center of the park, and especially when our fullbacks are not going to take the ball down the flank and try and beat the fullbacks, drag defenders over it, and then whip it in. If we're going to try and cut the ball back, as we saw Izzy do time and again, and try and just become, I'm like a broken record with this, one-dimensional through the center channel, it becomes very predictable, and it just feeds right into the game plan of Paul Brun, who is out to injure Celtic players, and he's going to pack the middle of the park. They surrendered the flanks, and we did nothing to take advantage of it, and it was a source of major frustration for me. What did you think, Coach? What were your impressions? What stood out to you? It was frustrating watching much of the game. What were your takeaways?
It was. I thought we missed Mulgrew heaps.
No question.
Really, he was probably the biggest thing that they missed today. I honestly, I thought with the raising of the flag, the team would have come out just freaking on fire, wanting to light up Aberdeen. But, I saw something recently, not too long ago, I think it was on Twitter, where Neil Lennon had said that, we just played a hard game on Wednesday, and, maybe the guys are a little bit tired or something like that. And I don't know, I guess there's something to that.
Yeah, I just retweeted a picture of Charlie Mulgrew that he put up there. His haircut's even worse than mine before I got it cut. He's got the vanilla ice going on. But
Get one of them hats and you could be twins.
Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't mind being Charlie Mulgrew's twin. That dude's in a very heterosexual way. That guy's a pretty handsome dude. But I agree completely. We saw Charlie Mulgrew score a goal in that midweek, which absolutely mirrored the goal that he scored against Rangers in that last Glasgow derby ever. Just ghosting back on the back post. There's no opposing defenders, nobody over there covering the back post. He just ghosts right in there and heads it. He didn't leave his feet at this time, and a gorgeous knee slide down in the corner. We definitely missed him on set pieces, without question, on corners. And
let me ask you something.
Go ahead.
Quick, since you brought up that goal against Rangers, I never really, I don't know if I missed shows after that game or what, but Was it ever said if that was a designed play for him?
Of course it was.
Yeah, I mean, it just looked like it was. And looking at it, it's like, why don't they do that more often? You know, the other team leaves them alone, forgets about them. Why not kick it directly to them and let them have at it? But
What was that?
What was what? That was my dumbass phone.
Oh,
I thought you were playing a sound effect for him being on spot.
I thought somebody got a correct answer.
Let me
Okay.
put my
Yeah, that's
phone
what I
on
thought.
silent before we get a Mrs. Doyle.
Go on. Well, give us the Mrs. Doyle. Can you do that on command?
Yeah, I can.
Always love a bit of Mrs. Doyle. Go ahead.
Let me get to it. Go ahead, talk about something.
Well, I mean, we're just talking about, can we get more of those set pieces designed that way? I mean, on corners, Lenny, you want to do that. You want to set up corners that way, right? Mrs. Doyle, what do you think?
Mrs. Doyle is
she getting the tea?
she's getting the tea.
Well, I'm going to turn to Father Jack here in a second if we're going to have to wait too long. So, at any rate, Chris Commons,
Go on, 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 go on.
There you go. That yeah, absolutely. That's going straight to Lenny. Go on. Go on, go on, go on. Chris Commons, for me, standout player again. I mean, he was absolutely, we saw it in that Inter Milan game a week ago today where he was really the standout for me. Fortunately, it doesn't seem as though this is going to be a long-standing injury that he picked up in that game from the free air strike, or the swipe, if you will. More embarrassing than anything else. I'm sure that, maybe he twisted his ankle. It was a bit of a sore one, but it looks as though that's not going to affect his form or his fitness going forward. And once again, I thought he was one of our more dynamic players, especially when he gets into a position with a bit of space in front of him just outside the box. If he can let it fly, and we're going to put an opposing keeper on the back foot, so to speak, start asking questions of them, I think we're putting ourselves in a dangerous position from then on. And as we saw, I mean, Chris Commons lets one go and it just got right by their keeper, had an absolute clanger. This game, let's not kid ourselves, this game had 0-0 written all over it, and it would have been had their keeper not had an absolute howler. We're fortunate to get the 3 points here. Let's not kid ourselves. Rev, you were about to jump in with something.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, in all seriousness, this game was kind of what you'd expect from the first game of the season. The passes seemed to be there, except for the crosses, the final passes, in the attacking third. But they didn't seem too terrible, except for pace and but a little bit of vision too, like you mentioned. Not taking advantage of going down the flanks. That Mulgrew being out at the last minute definitely did hurt things because that created a hole with the position. It wasn't too terrible, and Charlie Mulgrew is not. I wouldn't say he's an integral piece where if he's out, then we're screwed. I mean, we did have adequate coverage with Wanyama, but no, it's not the ideal situation. But yeah, the way the game was going, I agree. Like, once it got to halftime, I'm like, I don't think this is, there's going to be any score with this. But luckily for Commons got it right through the 5-hole, to use a hockey term, and we came out on top. But like you said, I was disappointed that they didn't come out firing after raising the flag, because it seemed, at least the Green Brigade, they didn't skip a beat from the end of the season to over the summer to now. They came out with the same with Glasgow Celtic champion song and just kept it going. So I was hoping that it would have reminded the players and kind of given them a little bit of a refresher. It's like, oh yeah, we are the champions. They didn't lose that over the summer and didn't forget that. But hopefully, maybe with this game under their belt, they can go into Helsinki and have a bit more of confidence in them.
Yeah, no question. And we're getting some discussion here in chat, which is fantastic. Please feel free to let us know what your thoughts are there. Also, you can get in touch with us on Twitter at BTW Celtic Show, or please get in touch with us via Skype. You can download Skype.com for free. Add us as a contact at Beyond the Waves, and feel free to dial in. Let us know what your thoughts are. We're here for you. Getting some comments in. This is from Lorenzo talking about giving Aberdeen credit. They closed us down quickly, and they were aware of the fact that our match fitness is not totally there yet. Yes, that is a certainly that there's truth in that, but Aberdeen, it's not like Aberdeen is in the middle of their season and we're trying to catch up to them. I mean, they're starting their season today just like we are. So why is it that they, in certain circumstances, are more fit than we are? Why is it that our tempo wasn't quite there yet? I mean, I think that it really all starts. It was a cascading effect from Moguru going out, necessitating Wanyama to slide back at center half, which we are just dire at. I mean, in terms of depth, we have absolutely no options. Kelvin Wilson came in the second half. Let's be honest. I mean, he was not horrible in that second half, but he's not somebody that I'd feel comfortable depending on at this point. Rumors coming in just now that Ipswich are in for a bid for him for 250 grand, which in my opinion is 250 grand more than I thought we could possibly get for him. But nonetheless, we need cover there. We need some depth, even if it's a Bosman. We need to look for quality, like we have with Izagiri, Kyle, even a Hooper. Start searching in some of those lesser trafficked markets to bring in some value, to bring in some quality there that can bet in with the team relatively quickly, provide us with some cover, and provide us with some options. Here we saw Anthony Stokes up top with his back to goal. I mean, let's be honest, we know that Anthony Stokes is not fit to task as a target man, bringing the ball down. He's not strong enough. He gets pushed off the ball far too easily. Who is our option coming off the bench? Daryl Murphy. I mean, come on. Now, with that being said, full credit to Darryl Murphy. I didn't think he was horrible when he came on, but when you send the ball into him, I mean, his first touch is absolutely horrid. And when you have three Aberdeen players looking to close him down immediately, you need someone who can gain possession of the ball and distribute immediately. He doesn't have that ability. With that being said, his instinct was pretty decent in terms of positioning. He was able to drag defenders around somewhat, which I like to see. But we need something better than that. We need a better option. Now, with regard to the strikers, I thought Gary Hooper didn't have his best game on Wednesday, and we're seeing the same Gary Hooper from last season in that run-in where he would go missing, and I think that the synthesis of that is he starts to drop back a bit too far deep, and that allows the opposing defenders to set up their bank of four or bank of two in the case of the central defenders, and they can just sit there. What he needs to be doing is staying up the park and dragging defenders around, making space for a Joe Ledley or a Baram Kyle to run into. Cause some confusion for the opposing defenders. He's doing none of that by dropping back. I know he's looking for service, but all that he's doing in the process is congesting the middle of the park, and that just puts a wall up in an already idea-free situation. I mean, it's sideways passes, it's backward passes. It reminds me of Strachan, and we need some alternatives there. Why we don't exploit the flanks with the pace that Izagiri and Matthews have, I'll never know. It's just, you can talk about, the fact that, here goes Graham again complaining after we get a victory. Well, this was not a resounding victory. We were fortunate to get this victory. Many of the telltale signs from this game, have gone the other way for us in many, many situations. And it was just that close for it to be a 0-0 result, for us to only get a point. Now, you think that's going to build any confidence going into Wednesday? Do you think that's going to get any sort of stability going into sort of how we're going to game plan? I mean, this Helsinki side, yeah, they look terrible at Celtic Park on Wednesday, but they are no mugs. We're going to play against them. It's a plastic pitch, and they are quite good at home. We need options. That one-dimensional, trying to set it up through the center channel with players who maybe are carrying some niggling injuries that don't allow them to play at top form. I'm sorry, that's not going to fill me with confidence, and that's just not good enough. We need width, and we need a target man. No question about it.
The thing is, and Aberdeen knew it, and pretty much it's common knowledge in these situations, is that today was Celtic's game to lose. They were the ones who would have to come out and make the attempt, make the shots on target and go for the win. Aberdeen, I'm sure would have been quite happy coming into Celtic Park and getting a draw. So they didn't, but, fair play to them because they didn't just park the bus. They did make some tries and, nothing really came to Forster. But, it's not like they just sat around and did nothing for 90 minutes. I mean, they did try. So but they didn't really have to do anything, and they would have been, okay with a 0-0 draw. So, that's the pressure was on Celtic, although there really, all things being equal, there shouldn't have been that kind of pressure.
No question. I agree completely. We made it way too easy for them. We played right into their game plan, packing the center of the park. Izagiri would take it down the touchline and then just cut it in. When there was space and where he had the opportunity to beat his man, and he'd cut it back, and it would congest things even more. That's not conducive for Sammy. Sammy, Jesus, he took one right in the choppers. I mean, the referee. Our players are getting kicked in the mouth. Repetitive fouls over and over again. I mean, not even one card until the very end of the game. Absolutely atrocious. And if you think that this is the end of it, I got another thing for you. It's only going to get worse. This entire season is going to be nothing but this. So get prepared. Coach, what did you think of the refereeing performance today? Repetitive fouling. I mean, Sammy almost had his tongue chopped off.
I don't know how that's not a foul. I mean, Jesus. You get kicked in the face, that's got to be a foul. And I saw Kyle went down probably at least twice, maybe 3 times on some really hard tackles. So,
no question, question.
Yeah, he got studs in the the side of the foot there, and there was no card. I think it was just an advantage, not even an actual foul. And who was it? The other Naismith, missed the ball and took him in the foot, and there's, he gets just an advantage on that and no card.
Yeah, it was absolutely atrocious. I mean, there was obstruction called against us, and then Patty. I mean, the defender that took out Patty had absolutely no interest in the ball whatsoever. He just threw his body into him, and nothing called. It's like I said. If you're thinking that it's going to get any better, I'm telling you right now, get prepared, because it's only going to get worse with regard to the refereeing. We're going to need to be even that much better. Fortunately, we got the 3 points today. Let's look at some of the positives here. I mean, obviously, in the second half, we looked far more the dynamic side, especially when Kelvin Wilson came in. I mean, it's sort of odd to say that. Kelvin Wilson comes in. Wanyama was the key. Wanyama going back to the middle of the park, then all of a sudden, that allows him to harness his best features, if you will. He can bust things up, and then I think that he was far more advancing. With the ball, he would run into space, put the Aberdeen defenders on their back foot, so to speak, and allow our attackers to make runs. But again, I got to touch on this. Gary Hooper, he's not active enough and challenging the opposing center halves and opening up space and dragging them around. Neither one of our strikers at this point, they are both front to goal strikers. They're very good in the box, but with their back to goal, it's just not good enough. They're not strong enough and taking possession, distributing it out, and then making runs, making dangerous runs. Those 1-2s that have become the hallmark, so to speak, of that Hooper and Stokes combination. We can say that it's early on in the season. They don't quite have their fitness yet. They don't quite have their form yet. But it is worrying from the standpoint of looking back to the tail end of last season. We're seeing many of the same things. I'm hoping that we can put that behind us, and we can regain some of that dynamism that we had when Gary Hooper first came to Celtic, when it looked like we had an absolute star in our hands who was scoring goals for fun. It seems as though he sort of goes in and out of games right now, and that's a worry for me. I really feel as though at some point, we're into the month of August now. We have until the end of the month to bring in players, and as we mentioned, and as I've ranted and raved, Peter Lowell has absolutely no interest in strengthening this team unless we get to the Champions League group stages. Well, I got news for you. Unless we strengthen these teams, there's no way that we are getting to the Champions League group stages. Absolutely none. We're in with a shout on Wednesday to get past Helsinki, but after that, I mean, serious questions need to be raised. No question about it. Well, Rev, what was your thoughts on the game on Wednesday? I mean, another situation where we go a goal down, complete lack of focus, rather, loss of concentration. Wanyama got caught out a bit, and there was a deflection. We go 1-0 down, and then all of a sudden it just seemed as though now we just decided to show up. I mean, is that what we need? Especially in these European ties, I'm fearful going into Helsinki that we're not going to have that energy level. We're not going to have that tempo and that initiative, and it's going to take a goal being scored by Helsinki to sort of kick us back into gear. And by then it may be too late. What were your thoughts on the game on Wednesday?
No, you said it exactly. It was a boneheaded play that led to the goal. People just standing around with their thumbs in their asses, and then it seemed like then they got the fight. And I have to give them credit though, is that they did come back and get the win for that leg, and bring it even on goals there. So they do get some credit for that, but it shouldn't take a goal to do that. I mean, I guess aside from last year, and the bit of Europa Leagues games that we had, we don't really have players with European experience, so maybe they don't get fired up like they should, like most teams do for Europe. I don't know the reason behind that. But you would think it's like, especially because they know that this is their competition this year. This is where they really have to go out and try. So you think they'd have that extra incentive, that extra, fire under their seats to come out and perform as best as they can as soon as they get on the pitch, and that wasn't there, and that's, I wouldn't really say worrying, but it's a little weird, and I question that.
Yeah, no, I agree completely, Coach. We saw Scott Brown, pick up an injury, didn't play today. Hopefully it's just cautious, and we're trying to reserve him for this midweek tie. We'll have to wait and see in terms of the severity of his injury. How much will we miss him today, do you think?
I think his biggest thing is that he's a physical, force in the midfield, and I thought Kyle did okay at that today. So I don't know, how much they missed him, but of course having both of them in there would be even better.
Yeah,
if there's room,
No question.
So
the thing that I'm worried about for Wednesday is, and it seems like everyone's concern, is the plastic pitch. And after watching games in person, at Giant Stadium on AstroTurf, we dubbed it ping pong soccer because the ball would take these ridiculous 10, 12 foot bounces, and especially, I don't know what the weather is like in Finland right now, if it's, if they're going to be playing in any sort of, rain or I guess not snow, but, anything else on the pitch like that would just completely blow any sort of game plan or, controlled creative passing that they might have. And so that's what I'm afraid of, that, they may come out, they may be up for it, but just the pitch and everything is just would be beyond their control, and there's nothing they can do, and that's what I'm worried about.
See, I've been a vocal critic, not so much to the detriment of Scott Brown. I've been a critic of his from the standpoint of tempering. Scott Brown is a bit of a Marmite figure, where he has his really passionate backers who love him, and I will definitely admit, over time he's really grown into the Celtic captain. He really deserves to wear the armband based on performances that he's put in and much of the energy that he brings to the side in many circumstances. And I think we were missing that to a large extent, especially in the center of the midfield today. I think that the key there was Kyle is not quite fit yet. So, when you have a Ledley there that's just going to marshal things, he's going to take the ball off of the center halves, bring the ball up the pitch, and then distribute. You need someone there who's going to work off of him, who's going to provide that advancing potential. With Wanyama next to him, Wanyama provides something of a similar sort of capacity, if you will, especially if we're going to be playing in a 4-4-2, a flat 4-4-2 like we were today. We didn't see some of that tactical maneuvering that we've come to see from Neil Lennon over the course of the preseason and the tail end of last season as well. Went straight back. I keep going back to this. It looked very much like a striking side. lateral passes, passing back, wasn't much available up front, and there wasn't much availability and endeavor to do much of that 1-2s to try and penetrate the opposing midfield bank and try and get into that space, put their defenders on the back foot, so to speak. Gary Hooper needs to stay up. That's my recurring theme. But I think that Scott Brown coming back into the side will be a positive for us, no question. We certainly missed James Forrest's pace down the right hand side as well. I mean, Chris Commons is obviously going to give us that courage to pull the trigger from outside the box, and fortunately we had that. Without him, we saw in a couple circumstances, you get just into the box, and it's almost like we want to walk the ball into the net, or there's passing back and forth or whatever, what have you. Patty came on and he had a couple of good runs. I mean, just mazy runs. Nobody's better in traffic, and I definitely see the logic in subbing him on, especially with how Aberdeen were just going to pack the place. But I was feeling pretty decent after the game on Wednesday. A 2-0 would have been absolutely ideal. I would have been just delighted with that. A 2-1. That away goal may come back to haunt us. What the key is going to be for that game on Wednesday against Helsinki is scoring the early goal, settling our own nerves, and then we can just allow play to develop from there. The plastic pitch is going to be something different, but we have a plastic pitch both indoors and out at Lennoxtown. So I'm looking for Neil Lennon to assemble the troops and get some training and get some experience on that plastic pitch. Now, I have information that their plastic pitch is a couple of years old. It's not going to be like Giant Stadium back in the 70s, where it's going to be balls bouncing 20 feet in the air or what have you. But it is going to be something similar to what we see over here, the next-gen turf or whatever the case may be. Not ideal, but we can cope. Obviously, we need to sort out what sort of studs, what sort of boots we're going to be wearing. That's going to be key. And just figuring out how the ball is going to react with, especially, short passes, long passes through the air. We just don't have the resources in order to play an aerial type of way. Even with Sammy, if Sammy's going to get bullied and then be closed down by 3 players immediately, that's not going to be effective. But nonetheless, I am confident there are certain things that we need to do. As long as we execute, we should be fine. Coach, let me turn this back to you now, because we've missed your presence over the past several weeks, and I'll be honest with you. I've taken the flag on your behalf and just demanding and crying out for more depth in certain positions. I mean, most notably center half and a big man up top. Daryl Murphy is not good enough yet. We get lip service about we need the fans to turn out. Now, the support today as well as Wednesday was absolutely superb. The message has been sent. Rangers are gone. The league, and especially Celtic, we are going to be fine. There is no problem. Don't listen to Super Scoreboard. They're going to cherry pick the absolute worst situations and talk about the low turnout at the Inter Milan game. Forget them. They're mugs. The support turned out today. They turned out on Wednesday. People are buying kits. Now, whether or not they're actually getting their kits, Rev and myself, that's another story. They need to get the finger out and get me the kit. I paid my money, but that's a different story entirely. The time
Was
is
yours shipped yet?
Yes, it was. So, I have 17 days until I can, call them and they can
Right.
ask me for my order number again. But nonetheless, Coach, what's your standing at this point? Neil Lennon comes out and says that the club's position is we need to wait until we qualify for the Champions League in order to start to make purchases. What are your thoughts there?
That's like putting a rubber on after you've banged a hooker, isn't it?
Oh, God almighty.
We're doing it. We're getting there.
Don't you put the rubber on before you go in through the door in Amsterdam?
Oh, God, Coach, you're killing me. There aren't enough disclaimers, really.
I mean, Jesus Christ. You can't say we'll buy players if we get to the next round. You need the players to help you get to the next round.
Exactly. It's all about...
Do you think that the team we have now is going to do it? Will we eke out a 1-0 win over Aberdeen? Come on.
I agree. It's all about preparation.
You talk about somebody, whoever it was, the rumor that somebody put in $250,000 for Kelvin Wilson. Great. So you take that. The investors will love it because they know it's not going to be spent.
Well, it is going to be spent, but it'll be on Peter Lawwell's Mercedes payment.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, it's low 60s and chance of rain in Helsinki on Wednesday.
Thank you. Weather report coming live from Jim McGuigan in Gettysburg. For all of your Finnish weather needs, you can count on the coach. Yeah, I mean, I've been banging on this to the point of exhaustion, where and the response has been, well, we can't get into debt. And I've belabored this to death. If you listen to last week's show, I mean, my brain is just fried from it.
You know what? If I need a new car, I don't have to buy a Rolls Royce. I could buy, say, a Dodge Challenger and be just as happy.
Well, no question about it.
And spend a tenth of the cost.
Well, no question about it. And I mean, we can get value, and that's the immediate reaction. Well, we can't be shopping in the English leagues for, overpriced players who are on the tail end of their career. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, there are center half options that we could bring in on a Bosman. I've brought up Olaf Melberg, who was rumored to be going to Toronto FC, who, by the way, Toronto FC picked up Darren O'Day. So
that grinds my gears.
He smashed a Hun. So
he certainly did. And Deco from Dublin, and now by way of Aurora Celtic, I think they're going to need an alert out for him, because he's absolutely going to be stalking him. But it's going to be good to see Deco next weekend. Looking forward to catching up with him. He is always good crack. So hopefully he is doing well, and safe travels to him coming down to Philly. We know what we need to do. We know why they're not doing it. And it's,
can he bring us some cigars?
I think that could be arranged, but let's do that.
Cubans?
Let's do that off air so that we don't incriminate anybody. We've gotten ourselves in enough trouble as it is. By the way, I do want to mention Hail Media. A couple of Hail Media announcements. We've been part of the Hail Media empire that's developed ourselves, and Temporary Stand, TikTok, Homeboys, Lost Boys, Paradise Report now with Chris Kuyava, Paradise Preview with Josh Gaffney, the multimedia genius, if you will, as well as ourselves. We've been nominated
and
for
Hot Sauce Connoisseur.
Yes, Hot Sauce, Black Mamba, absolutely. We've been nominated for the Sports Show of the Year with Spreaker.com, so that's absolutely phenomenal. Feather in our cap there. So congratulations to all the boys as part of the Hail Media. And we have the latest update. We have a YouTube channel now where you can listen to most of our shows on the YouTube channel Hail Media. That's been put together by the talented Richard Swan of TikTok, Carlick Shamrock. Big hail to him. It's my pal. And I say most because some of the shows, and we're trying to sort that out as we go along here, but some of the shows have some copyright issues, infringement, if you will. I don't know if it's infringement or what the legalities are, but obviously we play a couple of songs from the Pogues. We open up with a song each week, and YouTube doesn't take too kindly to that. So unfortunately, we are not going to have our shows up just yet. We have to figure out a workaround for that, but you can catch many of the other shows on the YouTube, so more access for that as well. Want to take a quick break here, but actually, this is going to be a recurring theme on the show going forward, in place of the hoop scoops until Rev gets the finger out and starts doing them again.
Whoa. I've been working. There's been things going on. After Philly, I'm going to come back, because there's no point for hoop scoops in Noisy Fido, but the next show after that, I will be back with 2 full scoops of hoops.
Fantastic. Well, we will have scoops in Fido, but they won't be, the variety that you bring in terms of news. They will be full of Guinness. But nonetheless, we have a feature every week that we're going to be putting together. Requires a little bit more production on my part, but we're sorting that out. But the great Paul Larkin has put this together, wants to get involved with us on a weekly basis, and we really appreciate that. You can get Paul's latest, Albert Doogie and Wim. It's available on Amazon as well as Lulu. There's, I believe, 30 book copies as well as some e-copies as well, and he's got his massive book launch coming up. If you talk to anybody who was at his last book launch, it is certainly nothing to miss. You can find out all the details at Paul Larkin74 on Twitter, but he's put together a segment that we're going to have every week called Fun Facts from Paradise. So let's take a look at that, the very first Fun Facts from Paradise here on the Beyond the Wave show.
Hello, and welcome to another Fun Facts on Paradise. Many of you will be aware that on August 6, 1966, Celtic destroyed Manchester United 4-1 in a pre-season friendly. One of the players in the team that day for Celtic was one Bobby Lennox. One of the opposing players was George Best of Manchester United. Did you know that 14 years later, on April 12, 1980, these players faced each other again, Bobby in the colours of Celtic and George in the colours of Hibernian. Celtic won that game 5-0. Take that, George.
Welcome to paradise.
Fantastic stuff. That's a good little segment for us each week. You know, giving us some trivia. Paul is an absolute wealth of information Celtic related, and it's just great to have that sort of insight on an ongoing basis. I mean, if you've read his books, you know what sort of experience and background and knowledge that he has about Celtics. So definitely check out Amazon.com. I think he's ranked 8,000 overall of all of the writers across the planet. So we need to get him a higher ranking and just pick up his book. It's absolutely fantastic reading. Boys, do you have anything to add?
Yeah.
I think that's where I drew my Amsterdam example from.
Yeah, no more.
I was reading Poles and Goals and Hesselink, and there's a passage in there about Amsterdam and the various birdhouses around Europe.
Birdhouses, interesting,
Yeah.
interesting. Yes, lovely varietals of the
Yeah.
ornithology of Europe. Fantastic. Well, moving on, boys. Obviously, we have a big weekend in store next weekend in Philadelphia. Madrid is coming to town as well as Celtic. You boys getting excited for it or what?
I can't wait already. I mean, I've been looking for this for at least the last 2 weeks when I realized, it's here already, basically. So now I'm starting to get antsy.
No question. It's going to be the longest week ever.
Yeah.
Coach, what are your thoughts? I mean, obviously we've attended, a couple of. I know myself. I've attended a couple of Celtic friendlies in the U.S., but certainly nothing to this level. At least, early returns. We have an entire end of the stadium filled with Celtic supporters. There's a complete menu of events on iCeltic.net, which you can find all of that as well as the fantastic blogs that are put out as well. Coach, what are your thoughts? In terms of this game?
There's definitely no shortage of entertainment options.
No question.
So it's going to be a few busy days.
No question.
I haven't seen Celtic in the United States, so I don't really know what to expect. But I'm looking forward to sitting among the prawn eaters and looking across the way at you guys in the Celtic end.
So you didn't get a seat in the Celtic end then?
No, I didn't.
What's the story there?
The story is that people can't get their shit together and announce at a proper time what sections Celtic are in. I'm talking to you, Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, that seems
and Lincoln
reasonable.
Financial Field.
That seems reasonable.
He is right about that. It was a pretty confusing setup. They pretty much, well, first of all, they had the little blunder where they released information about the tickets, or the event rather, Ticketmaster did, before it was even announced officially. So everyone thought it was a hoax. And then I guess maybe that forced the Eagles' hands and made them release the tickets sooner without making a presser. But no, I ran into that problem too, where I'm just kind of playing Russian roulette and hoping that I get the right section.
And so Rev, you're in now. Just for specifics for our listeners, it seems as though the Celtic end is from section 126 up to 131. So Rev, you're in 127.
If you give me a second, I can get my tickets right now. It's 127 or 128.
Okay, so you're in the section then. I think that I'm going to be in that general area. Deco's going to be sitting with us. I believe Phil McGillivon is going to be with us as well. I'm not sure if he's getting his press credentials, being the Rebel journalist, but that would be fantastic as well to get him some access to the team and Neil Lennon as well. Now, we have a massive day. Speaking of Phil, massive day coming up on that Friday.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm 127, row 31. So
Okay.
I think I'm right by you guys.
Okay, fantastic. Row 127, row 31. If you're in that area, go give Rev's head a pat, rather. Not a hat, a pat. Or his hat might need a pad or whatever.
You can give me a hat. I like free hats.
Okay. Well, yeah, get him one of those, as long as it's not a derby hat. Well, he'll be fine. Or a bowler. Don't get him a bowler. But speaking of the August 10th, the menu of events, speaking of Phil McGillivon, he's going to be coming over. As I just mentioned, he has a Q&A at Fido from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. On that Friday afternoon. So if you're coming in, make sure that you try and get there as early as possible. Get over to Fido. It's going to be fantastic. He's signing books, so if you have a book, bring it with you. He'll sign it for you. They're asking for a $15 donation. 5 p.m., we are going to be marching to the Irish Family Memorial in Philadelphia, where we're going to have a blessing from the New Jersey Marist Brothers. So that's absolutely phenomenal. Put together from Seamus Cummins and John Joe, the great John Joe from Plowing the Stars is going to be there as well, saying a few words. Phil's going to be talking about the importance of having a family memorial in Glasgow, which, I mean, just shockingly and disgracefully, there isn't one to date. But nonetheless, that's sure to be an exceptional time. Just got off the phone with Seamus not too long ago, and he mentioned that he's in touch with the North American president of the AOH, and they want to get involved as well. They're going to have some facilities coming in through for that as well, so that's going to be a fantastic experience. And then obviously 7 p.m., Charlie and the boys go on live at Plowing the Stars, followed by Raymond Coleman and Gary Gormley. So it's just going to be absolutely phenomenal. Going back over to Fido after that for a Fenian dance party. And then Saturday kicks off breakfast at Fido. There's going to be a funeral procession down to Broad and Pattison, which is not too far from the stadium. We're going to carry the Rangers' coffin and give them a nice little send-off, a nice little funeral. So everything's going to be going straight through Fido as well as Plowing the Stars. So definitely check out their information for more details, or just go to iceltic.net. The game's going to kick off about 1:30. We're hearing 1:45 is going to be the first kick. And then we'll be broadcasting live from Fido after the game, approximately 5 to 5:30, depending on when we can get our butts back to Fido. But it's going to be fantastic. Following us, they have some live Rebel music and more Fenian dance party, more bevy, and it's just going to be a complete debauchery. So not to be missed by any accounts. So anyone listening in, please.
Should we mention that we may be trying to do video webcasts of the show?
We're gonna try and do that. We'll see if we can. We'll see if we can sort out the tech issues with that and see how the internet feed is with that. But once we get that settled, and
well, hopefully we can do it on Phil's Q&A and work the bugs out during that.
Yeah, no question.
So Saturday goes smooth.
Yeah, Deco's getting in touch on Skype. Can't effing wait. Party. So.
I want to give a shout out and thanks to Sean from the Cleveland CSC, because I only have a hotel for Saturday night and Sunday.